The receipts came in and they've exposed Susan Smith and her lies once again. We're going to talk about it in today's video. Hello, Sofa Squad, and welcome back to the sofa. Sofa's still missing. I'm right here. My name's Paul if you're new to the channel. If you're not new to the channel, well, guess what? My name's still Paul. Now, today what we're going to be doing is we are revisiting the Susan Smith case, okay? If you are not familiar with Susan Smith was convicted of taking her two little boys, putting them in the back of a car, strapped in, rolling it into water, watching them submerge and drown, and then claiming that a black man jacked her car from her and, did this or whatever. And it was very scandalous. This is South Carolina. She ultimately was found out. Didn't take very long, and she has been behind bars ever since. Well, recently she was up for parole, and she came to parole, and right before parole, she got her first disciplinary action in 10 years. Now, mind you, she has had affairs with, officers, done all sorts of stuff, okay? But she had been clean, let's say, for 10 years. Well, this was essentially taking money, profiting off of her crimes and whatnot. And even in the sentencing, in her hearing, she would say, that I was confused, they misled me, I listened to the wrong people, I wasn't doing that. Well, you already know the parole board, not just because of that, other reasons. Instantaneously were like, absolutely not, this woman is never going home, okay? That's me being dramatic, they didn't say that. Okay, well now, there has been phone calls released before this of her talking to, you already know, a male, okay. And she's talking about this stuff, and you can hear her lying through her teeth. So what I want to do is this. I want to look at the article first so that we can have the exact, verbiage of it down. Then we'll listen to the phone call, and then we'll talk about it. So let's go. Okay, so I'm going to put this stuff on the screen here, right? So this article is written by Molly Markowitz. She's with Fox News. This came out January 15th, 2025. At 11 a.m., okay? And the headline, as you see, killer mom Susan Smith heard in prison call making vow amid plot to profit from her crimes. Okay, let's get into the nuts and bolts of it. Now, as you'll see here in the first paragraph, I'm just going to kind of summarize this. She's talking to an unknown male, and she's saying, that she wouldn't talk to the media just weeks before she was disciplined for what we just spoke about. Now, she's 53 years old, it says, and again, it just goes into talking about how she was denied parole, and it says that she was found guilty of speaking with the documentary filmmaker, which was against prison rules. That's the thing. She was charged with communicating with the victim and or witness of a crime on August 26th and convicted October 3rd. Now, this last paragraph here gets into it where it says, less than 2 weeks before being charged with the incident, Smith told a male prison caller on August 13th that she got a letter from a woman who said she worked for a national media outlet, adding, I've already thrown away so I can't even read it to you. Let's keep going. Now, when the guy asked her, well, what's this letter about? She gave her canned response of, just wanted to talk with me, same thing like most of them. Want to give me a platform to tell my story. I wouldn't even talk to them even if I could, she told the mail caller. And then she mentioned another letter that she received, and I'm just going to read directly from the thing on the screen here. She says, I did get a letter from some guy in California, but all he said was, hi, you don't know me. And I've never done this before. Care to talk? That was it. Just one line. It was handwritten. It was kind of odd, she said. Is probably going in the trash too. Now, at the bottom here it says this too. In a previous recorded phone conversation, seemingly with the same guy, Smith discussed the Freedom of Information Act. Now, the next thing that opened the screen here just gets into what this conversation with this filmmaker was about. So it says in their conversations, they've discussed conducting an interview and even filming a documentary and ways to get paid. They also spoke about Smith's crime in depth and the events leading up to and after it, including details like what was in the trunk of the car when it went into the water and her plans to jump from a bridge while holding the boys, but one woke up. Now, it also says here in this other thing on the screen, she agreed to provide the filmmaker with contact info for friends, family, victims, even her former husband. The filmmaker deposited money into Smith's account for calls and canteen, according to the incident report, which redacted the filmmaker's name. They're glad that that's not out there. Okay, so yes, 100% you can't be doing that, right? right? When you're in these situations like Susan. And to do this so close to parole is rather jarring. Now I get Susan's in prison. This has been her life. So time to her is very different to us, where we're like, it was right around the corner. Well, to her, it's like, this is my life. This is eternity. Who cares? But also to that nefarious side of her that seems to always come through. Now I want to also reference another part of this article. So on page 3 that we put up here, the little screen or whatever, and she talks about I got that letter from California, the one line thing or whatever, and she says at the end, I'll quote it again, it's probably going in the trash too. We'll hear her say it in a minute. Here's my theory on this. And again, sofa speculation, don't know Susan, not a psychologist, not a therapist, okay, just literally too much time on my hands, right? So when she said it's probably going in the trash too, this dude she's on the phone with, I would almost bet you is some kind of suitor, right? I think she probably spends a lot of time talking to men and getting men to send her stuff. It's kind of her MO of how she's always been, even before prison. So when she's like, it's probably going in the trash too, number one, please, you know she's already written the dude, right? Number two, she probably was saying to this dude to try and make him jealous, to see what he would do, like playing it, right? Because instead of saying like, oh, I threw it away, she's quick to say that she threw the evidence away of the thing, of the letter from the filmmaker person. Oh, I don't know, I threw that away. But she's going to keep a letter from some dude that just writes, and I quote, hi, you don't know me. I've never done this before. Care to talk? You do the math, right? I mean, here's the thing. You've been in prison for 30 years. You do the same routine. Honey, he could have written a letter that said, F you. And I would write back and been like, how are you? What's going on? Where are you from? Tell me about your life. You know, you would be that bored, okay? So let's go listen to the phone call now, and then we'll talk about it again.
I got a letter from a woman, works with Dr. Phil. Dr. Phil Primetime or something, but I've already thrown it away, so I can't even read it to you. And
what was it about?
Oh, just wanted to talk with me. Same thing like most of them. You know, wanted to give me a platform to tell my story. Yeah. But I wouldn't talk to him, even if I could. And I did get a letter from some guy in California, but all he said was, hi, you don't know me, and I've never done this before. Care to talk? And that was it, just one line. And it was handwritten. Or are you open to talk, or something like that. I don't know. It's kind of odd. It's already gone in the trash, too.
Okay, now real quick, and I don't know about y'all, but I felt like what she said in the actual call versus what that article said, it's already gone in the trash, too. Okay, so tell me did y'all hear it's probably going in the trash too, or it's already gone in the trash too? Because that changes my perception of my theory, right? If she said it's already gone, well, there you go. Now, I'm not trying to say that she's trying to be Miss Sullivan or whoever she's talking to. I don't even know the guy on the phone, right? Nonetheless, the fact that she brings it up, I think is interesting. Listening to her talk, I mean, number one, this just sounds almost like a phone call that you would make. You know what it honestly feels like to me? And think back. And I still do this like with Matt and stuff like that, but when you're calling someone to be on the phone board with somebody and you're just kind of meandering through the thing, yeah, talked to somebody today. Yeah, who they with? Yeah, Dr. Phil, ABC, something. Yeah, what do they say? Just that like hemming and hawing. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, this to me is giving high school conversation vibes, okay? She also sounds slightly disinterested. I just feel like whoever she's talking to is some dude that she's working over. Now, y'all might be like, oh no, Paulie did the tea and it's her dad, or, you know, whatever. I don't know. But that's just the energy I get. Again, I feel like she spends a lot of time doing this. That being said, okay, doesn't matter my opinion on it. What is eerie about Susan is after all this time, okay, and we're going back to her little thing that she did with the hearing, and that I got hooked up with the wrong people. They told me this was about like the psychology behind it, and the filmmaker. It's clear she knew what she was doing. Okay, it's painfully obvious. She's putting money in for canteen. She's doing this. This is the part that Susan doesn't get, and I don't think she ever will, that everyone else sees. Put aside the actual crime for 1 second. I know that sounds bad, but just work with me. Bottle that up and put it over here, okay? We don't know, let's say, why she's convicted. We don't know why she's in prison. We just know she's been in there for a long time. The fact that she can't stay out of her own way and prevent herself from lying and manipulating and making things up now gives me great pause to think, what would you do on the streets if you were desperate? Okay? What would you do? Now pull out of the box the heinousness of the crime, okay? And let's get down into the realm of rehabilitation, this, that, and the other. Yes, I believe that most people are rehabilitatable on some level. That being said, okay, when you're talking about something like this is pure evil, okay? This isn't, I accidentally did something, I'm a notorious shoplifter, fill in the blanks, right? This is someone who methodically took her 2 baby boys and strapped them in and let them meet a suffering, horrifying death, and then lied about it on national TV. And then had the audacity, which, of course she's going to go for her hearing or whatever. But if you watched it, we probably want to go watch it. It's one that you want to see. I covered it before. She re-victimized the father, their new children, the rest of the family. Is terrible. And then also on the heels of that, all right, before that, she's doing this, hawking her story. She's bored. She's in prison. She manipulates dudes. This is kind of what she does. It's probably big dollar signs to her when Dr. Phil and stuff like that's calling. Imagine how important you would feel, on that level if you're just this notorious nameless person. That's Susan Smith, right? Other inmates, it says she kind of views herself as like being famous. Because she is, infamous is probably a better word. So there's not much rehabilitating from this scenario. And if there was, and you would probably do it behind bars where she doesn't have much to even speak of, of things that she's truly, truly done. And so that's where it's like, okay, girl, not only did you kill your 2 little boys, but it was a really horrifying way that you did it, but you're still lying. Just 10 years ago, you're sleeping with officers and doing this, and I understand there's a power dynamic there that is present. Take out personal bias and feelings about, how I might feel about her. I get that that's going on there with that, but there's been, drugs, all sorts of stuff. And they asked her about her drug use behind bars at her thing. So when this came out and I listened to it, I was just sitting here like, yeah, it's like she's not learned one thing. It's like she's frozen in time. She's sitting here lying through her teeth about all this. There's evidence of it. The same way that there was going to be evidence of her car. Now, she eventually confessed and said where the boys were, but she couldn't keep up with her lies. And that essentially is what did her in then, and it did her in now. And I think it's another couple of years or whatever that she can go up for parole again. I imagine it'll do her in then again. There's one way to. And again, I don't think she'll ever get out. I don't think she should, because like I said, if I was on the, whatever you call it, board or parole board, whatever, if I even separated the 2 things, it was like, I'm ignoring her crime right now. Let me see what she's done behind bars, and let me see these things. My first thing would be, honey, I'm nervous about what you would do if you got desperate. Like, you're giving that energy behind bars. Life is real tough out there. It ain't pretty, right? It's been 30 years since it's not going to be a good ride. What depths are you willing to go to? Well, then I'd look at the crime itself. Okay, you didn't get the man that you wanted. It's this is what you did for attention. No, absolutely not. Throw away the key, right? My heart breaks for the family. Their father, grandparents, new siblings that they would never have met, obviously. You know, when you hear their stories, it gives me goosebumps of what this crime did to them and the ripple effects and how many generations this has spread through. It is devastating. Now, there are stories of resilience and the human ability to overcome and continue with life is very inspiring from that. And that's one thing I like about true crime, is learning those lessons from people who have been thrust into these situations that didn't want to be there by perpetrators like, you know, Susan Smith. So anyways, I just always think it's haunting to hear her voice. It's sad to hear her voice. It's angering to hear her voice. And I imagine this is just going to be this is how it will go until, you know, I'm not here anymore, she's not here anymore. This is just a regular Tuesday in Susan's life, right? So anyways, let me know what you think down in the comment section. If you're still watching, I do appreciate it. And while you are in the comment section letting me know what you think, if you could please drop off some sofas for myself, Rosco and Spirit, Bo and Luke, who are being babysat, and the rest of the sofa squad, so we'll all have a place to hang out, talk about this case, all the other ones. And until we meander our way down there to do that, I'll see y'all soon. I just wanted to say thank you again for watching the whole video, and also thank you for being part of the Sofa Squad. Special thanks to all the Patreon members, channel members from both of my channels, everybody who likes, shares, subscribes, comments in the comment sections. It helps the channel out so much. Now, don't forget, I do have that other channel, the podcast channel. That's where we go live, we hang out, we talk. We have kind of sort of a schedule, but just be sure and check it out. I'll put it up here on the screen. And then, like I said in the beginning of the video, if you want to follow me and Rosco on the Instagram, go on, check it out. It's right here on the screen again. But once again, thank you very much. I really appreciate you being part of the Sofa Squad, and I'll see you in the next video.